Today, we're ranking all 15 episodes from Family Guy Season 24. We've already covered a good chunk of the episodes in another video, so we'll only talk about some episodes briefly here, but if you want to see our full breakdowns, check out the video in the description. Starting with what we believe to be the weakest episode in the season, Viewer DMs. This is a bit of a legacy sequel to the show's viewer mail episodes, covering 3 mini-stories in one episode. The first being the breeziest retelling of The Lord of the Rings you've ever heard.
Sorry my hobbit hole is so tight. But it's the hole I was given at birth.
Keep talking like that and Gandalf's gonna go from grey to white in no time. So the story follows Frodo as he journeys to destroy the One Ring that will stop the evil Sauron. Along the way, he makes some friends, loses some friends, and decides to travel with a funny little creature.
Thanks, map. Thanks, great detailed map.
You make eye contact with a homeless guy one time, and suddenly you two are on an adventure together. But they finally make it to the fires of Mount Doom, where the ring is ultimately destroyed thanks to a clumsy Harrison Ford.
Off of my plane.
What?
He's so stoned.
So sorry if this is your first exposure to The Lord of the Rings. It's actually much more exciting than this bit makes it out to be. The next section follows the story of how the Griffin family immigrated to Quahog all those years ago. I thought Peter's ancestor founded Quahog, but I guess canon only exists inside of the last 5 seasons.
The journey begins.
And we've already lost a Meg to dysentery.
The section covers the trials and tribulations of the family on the Oregon Trail, braving the harsh winter snow, killing an angel by accident, and then having a new angel point them in the right direction. Yeah, as soon as men started making guns, God stopped sending his people.
Nobody else needs to get hurt. You already shot Jerry.
Oh, he had a name. Now I feel worse.
And the final section is just a hypothetical Quagmire TV show from the 1960s, which involves him doing little skits and slapstick bits. You sure you still want that Quagmire spinoff?
Whoa! Whoa! Have you ever seen such furniture?
Yeah, we think this is easily the weakest offering of Season 24. That Lord of the Rings parody is so bare bones and has nothing to it. The Oregon Trail sketch at least has some decent comedy, but the Quagmire show mostly just falls flat. Luckily, nothing in this season was offensively bad, but we still feel confident about putting this one at the bottom. And following that, at number 14 is A Few More Ways to Die in the West, a Western-themed episode filled with romance, backstabbing, and funny mustaches.
What happened to you?
It's not my fault. They put the saloon next to the salon, and I got very confused.
So in this episode, Peter is Quiet Burp, a Western gun for hire with his own posse of fellow outlaws. Oh, and look, Ernie's back. I wonder what kind of long, drawn-out battle he and Peter will... Oh well, back to the Family Guy graveyard with you. Tell Diane we said hello. But afterwards, we're treated to a pretty cool and stylish opening credits montage, complete with a Western-style rendition of the theme song. If they're gonna keep doing parody episodes, this is the kind of effort they should be putting into it. Now let's see if the rest of the episode measures up.
Lady hanged for wearing pants. Good. One less wacko on the streets.
So Quiet Burp and his gang are assisting in the transportation of money for a wealthy businessman, but they find themselves victims of a classic railroad robbery.
Ah, shoot. Hey, Vivienne, no biggie here, but did you need that money for anything?
Humanity really took the next step towards prosperity when we upgraded from the big burlap sack with a $sign on it to the wallet. But the gang catches a glimpse of the thief and sets out to track them down. Meanwhile, on this same train, 2 traveling actors are hoping to make it big in their next town.
It was a mutual decision to kick John Wilkes Booth out of our improv group. Who knew he was gonna do that?
I tell you, these method actors are getting out of hand. But I guess some blame could be put on the audience member who suggested Guy Who Kills the President at an improv show. Anyway, the gang makes their way through the desert to reach the town of Golden Stream, where their thief has arrived with the money.
That'll show them, separating those carpetbaggers from their money.
What's this? A girl? Doing a man thing? You guys don't understand, this was super shocking at the time. Aliens could have landed in the town and people would have been just as shocked if you told them there was a girl who could use a gun. But when Quiet Burp arrives in town, he actually falls for the woman, not realizing she's the one who robbed them.
Would you be up for dinner?
Oh, well, it's nice of an armed stranger to wander into an active classroom to ask me this.
Yeah, but everyone was packing heat back then. It was a different time. It was a simpler time. It was a low life expectancy time. But after getting to know each other, Quiet Burp soon discovers she was the one behind the mask all along.
I was only doing it because of the destruction your boss's bone saw brought upon the soldiers.
She makes a good point. Civil War bone saws were extra dull. You'd have better luck cutting a guy's arm off with safety scissors than with those things. Luckily, love is stronger than a one-time freelance gig, so the two plan to run off together before Quiet Burp is apprehended by his gang.
They say posse's posse, but I can see this one's not as tight as it used to be.
Yeah, the writers kinda had a field day when they realized what the word posse sounded like. The writer's room sometimes sounds like a freshman classroom, which, hey, isn't always the worst thing.
Get ready to draw. I put the sun in the corner.
Quiet Burp and his lover managed to escape the town, but the gang is hot on their trail. Thankfully, those two actors from before have started getting into the blowing up a mountain for gold business, and like their TNT, business is booming. Well, you can't get rich without burying a few people under mountains of rubble. How do you think Jeff Bezos got his start? Unfortunately, Quiet's boss catches up to them, so it looks like it's curtains for their story.
Man, that one was really up there.
Bezos strikes again. And now those two will get to enjoy a long, happy 10 years max together before one or both of them dies of dysentery. I know a lot of fans seem burnt out on the show's parody episodes, and honestly, this one doesn't really help. Both stories are pretty weak, with the plots loosely threaded together with gags and bits that feel less like a coherent plot and more like the writers riffing. There are some gems here, like the intro and the posse jokes, but other jokes just fall flat, like the wet goods store and, well, really kinda everything with the Stewie and Brian plot. Not the finest outing for those two. And at number 13 is Lower G.I. Joe, where Peter and the guys have a disagreement over a toy removed from Peter's colon, and Brian thinks he accidentally killed a kitten belonging to Mayor West.
Given your age and embarrassing lack of pop culture knowledge, it's time I schedule you for your first colonoscopy.
So in the main story, all of the guys are a bit nervous about getting their first colonoscopy. Hard to blame them. They probably haven't had a camera so close to their insides since college, but I don't think they can be as drunk as they were then for the procedure.
What if we rented a cabin and did the prep night together so we could be there to support one another?
So it'd be a trip all about everyone taking the largest poops they can? You know how guys always wondered what girls do at sleepovers? I'm pretty sure this is what they imagine guys do. So the guys get themselves a cabin and drink so much that the following BMs are absolutely gonna tank their Airbnb scores.
I call the shower.
Why wouldn't you call the toilet first?
I don't have time to argue with you. I'll be in the shower.
And once their colons are cleared and the colonoscopy has been performed, everyone's results come back normal, except for Peter's. Being shocked Peter has irregular colon results is like being surprised to find a shut up Meg gag in literally any episode of Family Guy.
My childhood G.I. Joe!
That was inside his colon?
That's not just any Joe either. This particular Joe is a collectible and is valued at $100,000. The resale value may have dropped a bit because, you know, good luck getting the smell out of that. But for some reason, the other guys feel like they're entitled to some of that money.
You wouldn't even have gotten a colonoscopy if it wasn't for us.
I'm not giving you guys my money.
I mean, Peter has a point, no? The guys just happened to get it done at the same time. They shouldn't get a claim over what was found in Peter's body. If that's the case, they better be ready to receive a big, stinky, fly-covered package in the mail. The guys even try to sue Peter for the money, which, duh, fails. I'm glad this weird world at least has some sense to it.
Case over.
Over? Who won?
I don't know. Him?
In your face!
But when it comes time to sell the figure, Peter realizes it's not worth losing his friends over. So he splits the money with them, right?
Stop the auction!
Peter, what the hell are you doing?
Please tell me that thing has been cleaned at least once since escaping from Peter. So I guess it's better that no one gets any money. I don't know, being friends with $25,000 each sounds a little cooler. But in the subplot of this episode, Brian decides to be Stewie's chaperone for his school trip to the Pound, because he must be the most knowledgeable about the system.
No matter how pathetic that Sarah McLachlan is making you all look in those commercials, there is hope.
He's got a point. That song Angel should be banned from being within 10 feet of a sad-looking dog in a cage. But there are also cats at the Pound, and while Brian doesn't want anything to do with them, he does find one that actually fills his heart a bit.
All right, let me just take this guy off my...
It also fills his stomach a bit too. But after disposing of the body, Brian learns that this wasn't just some random unloved kitten.
My sweet feline companion, Meower West, has gone missing.
Wild West has been just looking for an excuse to unload a buckshot on Brian ever since that Christmas manger mishap, and this might finally be his chance. But they managed to find a kitten that looks pretty similar to Meower West, so it looks like Brian might actually be getting away with this scot-free.
Good news! I think we found your missing cat.
It may have had a heart attack.
I think more than just its heart might have been attacked, but it turns out that West Kitten survived Brian's mauling and returned to him. Sweet, but Brian still should face some punishment for attempted feline murder, and there's only one punishment dogs will respond to.
Bad boy.
Ow!
Bad boy.
I can't breathe!
Very bad boy.
That's worse!
Please, just send him to the electric chair. It'd be less excruciating than this. So this one wasn't all that amazing. The Peter plot started out funny, but the conflict of the guys wanting the figure money felt incredibly forced and didn't feel believable. The Brian plot is only really memorable for its brief blips of animal violence, something I'm sure most people are trying to forget. And without any strong or memorable jokes, this thing kinda just sinks to near the bottom of this season. And following that at number 12 is Friend's Best Man, where Brian gets mad when he isn't chosen to be Stewie's best man, and Peter and Lois's attempt to make a dirty tape ends up going terribly wrong.
I've got a steady allowance, I love to time travel, I'm potty trained, and here I am, no ring on my finger.
So Stewie's feeling down that he isn't married yet. It's not his fault. Back in his parents' day, everyone was usually engaged when they became 6 months old. Everyone's just getting married younger back then. Luckily, the man in Stewie's life finally pops the question.
Rupert asked me to marry him, and I said yes!
That's wonderful, Stewie.
Congrats.
Now there's so much to do. Lock down a date, send out invites, start prepping that prenup. I know I see a gold digger when I look into Rupert's black eyes. But Brian doesn't want to humor this more than he has to. Luckily for him, he won't need to.
Well, this is awkward. Stewie asked me to be the best man.
What? He did?
Well, somebody's got to be the ring bearer, and Brian would just look adorable in that role. Could you imagine Chris doing that? It just wouldn't work. Brian doesn't want to admit that he's bummed, but he still tries to help where he can.
And I need you to pick up Stewie's fraternity brothers at the airport.
Fraternity brothers?
Here's their flight info.
There really is a whole other world out there that Stewie's living in. So Brian puts on a brave face, acting as their DD and giving one of the frat brothers a Viking funeral after he overdoses. You know, typical bachelor party stuff.
He beat cancer just to die like this. Crazy man.
All right, let's get back to the strip club.
But that's a lot for a not best man to be doing, so Brian backs out of the entire wedding. Thankfully, he's not alone, as Stewie decides to do the same.
Don't you see? I've been waiting for you to propose to me for years.
You want me to marry you?
I hope their true love is worth fighting for, because a baby and a dog getting married is an uphill battle they're gonna have to endure from the state. But Stewie just wanted a reaffirmation that Brian will always be his friend, and I guess a ring would solidify that.
Stewie, will you marry me?
Oh my gosh, this is so unexpected!
Thank God both of Brian's parents are dead. They never would have approved of this. So while that's all going on, Peter and Lois are trying to find a way to spice things up in the bedroom by saying something they've always wanted to do at the same time.
1, 2,
Crumble
make a
pizza. I mean tape.
Okay, let's do it!
But much like doing the dirty on a beach, this sounds much better in theory than in practice. You were never meant to see certain parts of your body in such high definition.
And you're positive this isn't that tape that kills you if you watch it in 7 days?
Pretty sure.
Lois is taking the revelation pretty hard, mostly because seeing Peter's naked body in HD is probably causing her toes to curl and her hair to turn gray. There really are never-ending nightmares to discover out there.
If I'm being honest, I guess I never really thought about how long Peter's ass crack was.
Oh, but there's a Rule 34 Tumblr artist out there that's been thinking about that for years. Let them carry the horror. Unfortunately, much like that aforementioned tape from The Ring, their video gets leaked and sent out into the world.
YouTube didn't even bother to censor the video, classifying it as a nature documentary instead of...
So that's how you get around restrictions. I'll keep that in mind next time we gotta use an image of Peter showing any skin above the ankle. But to their surprise, the video actually gets a pretty decent reception.
Somebody named Chris Griff Official without a checkmark posted 3 water droplets.
Could be anybody. But the video actually leads to them getting recognized by the city, though not because the video is hot, but because it's a great example of body positivity.
Their video shows all of us it's okay to have a knee brace on during times of intimacy.
They're heroes to the sloppy and misshapen everywhere. Not really what they wanted, but at least some good came out of that video. This is another one that was just okay. There are some decent bits, like Joe getting room tone for a tape with Bonnie and Stewie's bachelor party antics, but it still felt a little weak. This commentary on Brian and Stewie's relationship just feels repetitive at this point. Surely there's more to be said about the two other than unrequited love again. Overall, not obscenely bad, just a little forgettable. And up next at number 11, we have Tall Stewie, where Peter makes a dating profile to see how attractive he is, and Stewie and Brian fight for dominance by trying to out-tall each other.
Peter!
What a buffoon.
She married him?
So after a little wardrobe malfunction at church, things start to get tense between Peter and Lois. She can't be realizing this is who Peter really is after all these years, right? He may be an idiot, but if you're shocked by this, you may just be the bigger idiot.
I mean, look at you. You're a mess. You are lucky we're married because no other woman would ever find you attractive.
Ouch, Lois. I mean, she's totally right, but still, ouch. But Peter knows he's hot stuff. He just needs to find a way to validate that belief without just outright cheating on Lois.
You just get on the app to see if women match with you. Then you have proof that you're attractive.
Ah, the old fake dating profile plan. Good for the ego, bad for being honest with your spouse. I guess it's better than the old ways where you slip someone a piece of paper with a yes or no option. So the guys help Peter build his profile, like making him seem politically active without taking a side one way or another.
We are us? What does that mean? Kinda just sounds like nothing.
You think we aren't us?
It's opinions like that that'll get you canceled and thrown in jail in this world. If someone wants to be us, who are we to stop them? And if we want to be them, then he can't stop you from being she to me and you to us. Get what I'm saying? Now let's watch all those matches roll in.
There's not a single woman on here who's even slightly interested in me. Maybe Lois was right. I am completely undesirable.
I don't know, man. You seem to have good luck with crazy chicks. Maybe you should try Hinge. That's where all the unhinged girls are at. It's literally in the name. But Peter isn't the only one fishing for compliments on the site.
Lois has a profile on a dating app? Oh my god, I have a profile on a dating app?
He's perpetually concussed, you gotta be patient with him. So Peter wants to confront her about this, but that would mean she'd know that he was on a dating app too. So for moral superiority points, he decides to make a fake profile to lure her on a date.
Derek Bandana? Peter, who is this?
It's Chris's hot school bus driver.
A hot bus driver? That's like finding a unicorn. It's too perfect to be real. But despite this, Lois accepts the match and gets tricked into a surprise dinner with Peter.
You think I wouldn't recognize Chris's bus driver? Also, I could see your reflection in his sunglasses.
Rookie mistake. Peter should have worn sunglasses to negate the reflection. But this gets them both to realize they're seeking validation in their older ages and should be kinder to one another.
Maybe we should just compliment each other once in a while, huh?
I don't know, that feels like a lot.
Sums up their relationship perfectly. On the other side of the episode, we see Stewie learn just how much power he can hold when he's taller than Brian.
It's time for bed, Stewie. Come on.
No.
What did you say?
I said no.
You go to bed, you short, bald...
That's right, Stewie. Put that manlet in his place. No point in listening to a guy who needs uppies to talk to you. But two can play the height game as it turns out.
Who's a short, bald now?
You...
I mean, they're still both only like 4 feet tall. They make Gimli look like a freaking point guard. So they decide to take their height war to even greater heights.
Well, I'm off to go establish myself as the town tall guy.
Yeah, right. More like town small fry.
Big talk from two guys whose ankles look ready to snap at a moment's notice. But while they're trying to outdo one another, they end up catching the attention of some cute models.
It's hard to find men who are tall enough for us.
Is it just me, or is every guy these days a short, bald...
Yep, we're living longer, but getting shorter. And I guess balder. We're only a few decades out from someone like Northern Lion being named sexiest man alive. So the two commit to the bid and start dating the girls, but before they can seal the deal, their limbs are put to the test.
Since we know you two are so active, we want you to do our beach Olympics.
Forget all that. Is that Sydney Sweeney? Oh crap, it is. And she's playing herself? Honestly didn't recognize her without the screaming, crying, and throwing up from Euphoria. But this little run on the beach ends up blowing Brian and Stewie's looks, so I guess criminal acts with a dog and a baby are off the table today.
You're not also a baby and a dog on stilts, are you?
No, we are not.
Overall, this episode was just fine. The Brian and Stewie subplot is probably the most entertaining of the two, and while there are some funny moments in the main story, there's nothing really to write home about. Kinda surprised they didn't use someone like Sydney Sweeney for a bigger role, because she didn't really leave much of an impression here. And breaking into the top 10 is Playtime, which involves the gang trying to save a local theater by putting on 3 famous plays simultaneously.
Okay, let's do this. Places, everybody, as they say in the theater. Breaking L3 vertebrae.
The first play is To Kill a Mockingbird, a searing portrayal of the Jim Crow South that's made a little less depressing and a little more funny.
Hello to the all-white jury, the all-white gallery, and the very rickety segregated balcony.
You laugh, but it doesn't make the subject matter any less serious. Okay, maybe it does a little. And the play ends with Carter getting the crap kicked out of him, so that's always a welcome sight.
This isn't what we blocked! Damn it, Chris, you said you took stage combat! Oof.
The next play is The Odd Couple, a story of 2 guys moving into the same apartment back when you could do that without your parents side-eyeing you and asking a bunch of questions.
And even though we both have solid careers in an era of famously depressed New York real estate, it makes sense we should split rent.
Yeah, so these guys have slightly different standards for living, which gets them into a bunch of wacky hijinks that mostly just leads to Quagmire trying to sleep with Lois and Bonnie. Look, if you want the best performance, you gotta go method.
It's our characters having Peter, not us.
Oh, Glenn, is that a hot rubber?
And finally, Hamlet, Shakespeare's famous tragedy about the universally understood desire to kill your stepdad.
I'm still the same uncle you've always known, except now I'm having with your mom.
Shakespeare really had his finger on the pulse of angry teens everywhere. The play follows Hamlet, who sets out to avenge the death of his father by killing his uncle after seeing a ghost of his dad. This was back when My Ghost Dad Made Me Do It was a credible legal defense.
Great job, son. Now let's drag him behind the castle and violate his corpse.
For a parody episode, this one actually wasn't too bad. The meta framing of this being one big play leads to a lot of funny moments, and while the literary jokes are kinda obvious, there's still a good amount of decent comedy to be found here. And at number 9, we have Manifest Destiny, revolving around Peter and the guys winding up on Fire Island and Stewie getting way too into memes.
Is it possible this is Kokomo? It's checking too many boxes.
So after their boat capsizes, the guys wash up on the shores of Fire Island, where it's just guys being guys with no women to nag them. Weirdly, it seems like a lot of straight guys is heaven, despite all the short shorts and pastels. It seems cool at first, but when they're asked to pay hundreds of dollars for their stay, they make a break to escape the island.
Bye! Have a fun trip!
Aren't you mad at us?
We're guys! We get over stuff fast!
Can't let a little credit card debt ruin the vibes after all. Meanwhile, Stewie gets super invested in old memes, even becoming the author of a book that's just memes. Brian's just mad he can't have a successful writing career.
This is comedy now.
Oh, it's a shortcut for people who aren't actually funny to seem funny.
So Brian decides to literally exercise the memes out of Stewie's body, fixing his personality so his thoughts don't come with top and bottom text anymore.
First world problems. Cringe. Weird flex, but okay.
This is the kind of episode you get when you let boomers discover the internet. This episode is a bit of a mixed bag, being fairly funny with Peter's plotline while feeling incredibly outdated with Stewie's. It's a bit down the middle, and that's why it's landing near the middle of this list. And coming in at number 8 is Bringing Up Brady, where Meg enters a friendship with Tom Brady and Brian and Stewie move into an IKEA.
How does a pretty girl like you know so much about football?
I'm a woman in New England.
So Meg helps Tom Brady with his sports commentator job by feeding him lines through his headset, and while she thinks a romance might spark between them, it becomes clear Brady is just using her. Meg had always dreamed of this day, but now that it's happened, it's not all that cool.
On a scale of 1 to 10, they have to put her on a different scale because she's like 200 pounds.
So she gets back at him by tricking him into proposing to her on live TV, which he actually goes through with, but Meg realizes they just aren't meant to be together. You could have come to that conclusion after there were millions of dollars to win in a divorce, though.
I can't trap you into something you don't want to be a part of. You've got the rest of your weird life ahead of you.
Meanwhile, Brian and Stewie decide to move into an IKEA to live the high life without the being super successful part.
I might go pretend write on one of the cardboard computers in one of the fake dens.
I like our life.
And he'll make the same amount of literary impact as he would with a normal computer. So the two try to act all fancy by hosting a dinner party with Quahog's elite, but as soon as the guests start to clue into the fact that they're in a department store, Brian and Stewie start making people disappear.
Should've just sat there and ate your Reese's.
Overall, this episode had some decent bits in it that kept the just okay plots moving along. But the one thing to remember is that Tom Brady was too much of a coward to voice himself again. How the hero of New England has fallen. And following that is number 7 with Dear Francis, where Lois becomes concerned when Peter calls out his dead dad's name in bed.
You might have some feelings about your father that you still need to process.
Props to Lois for being so understanding, because this may actually be grounds for divorce to most people. Unless your dad was like really hot, I guess. But the Francis Peter ended up calling out to wasn't his dad, but a new waitress down at the Clam, which makes Lois a whole lot less understanding.
Peter, this is a new low. Yeah, I can't even look at you. Come on, kids. We're leaving.
I mean, is it wrong to say this might have been the better outcome than fantasizing about your dad? But Peter makes things up to Lois by putting in the work, coming to terms with his father's death, and they both can continue on living and lying to one another.
If it makes you feel better when we're doing it, I'm mostly thinking about Chris Hemsworth.
Aren't we all? While the stuff with Peter's dad is a bit half-baked, this was still a pretty funny concept for an episode that led to some decent jokes, great character moments, and good bits overall. And at number 6, we have High School History, where significant moments in time are recreated with Family Guy characters standing in for historical figures.
I'm Brian Griffin, and tonight we'll take my time machine to 3 periods in history.
So we first start with the French Revolution, where King Louis XVI plunges the country into debt due to his lavish lifestyle and decides to implement a tax on the peasants. Look, if we gotta talk about another historical parody, let's at least make sure you're walking away learning something.
I'm here to collect some taxes.
What?
The king is levying a land tax and a head tax.
And head taxes usually end up costing an arm and a leg, which is very misleading. But two men named Robespierre and Danton decide that it's time France fought back against the crown and have themselves a revolution. Oh, that's why they called it that.
The time has come to join our revolutionary club, the Jacobins.
So the two lead a march on the castle and arrest the king and queen for all their crimes against the French people. I mean, Marie Antoinette probably shouldn't have told them to just eat cake. That was the pull yourself up by your bootstraps of the time, and like that phrase today, anyone who uses it should be brought to the guillotine.
Please destroy the oil paintings under my mattress.
This just used to be how people spent their weekends, going to see the latest beheading. It was a simpler time before sports betting ruined everything. But the guillotine is kinda addicting. Use it too many times and it might just come back to bite you in the neck.
I know I wanted to be head of state, but this is... Oh, my brain's stopping.
Next up is the American Civil War, where the country was split into two factions, driving friends and brothers to fight one another.
The gray ones are from Louis Vuitton and the blue ones are from TJ Maxx, so...
That's fine, I'll be Union.
I'm not sure if the war being decided over what colors people wanted to wear makes it any less horrendous. Over in Washington, President Lincoln comes up with a strategy that could help the Union beat the Confederacy.
Black men should be free. That's what I'm talking about. And sent up to the front line as soldiers.
Yeah, history isn't always as squeaky clean as it's presented in school. Are you telling me people didn't just stop being evil on a whim? Anyway, to rally his troops, Lincoln decides to go to Gettysburg to address the Union, which unfortunately cuts into the stage time of aspiring comedian John Wilkes Booth.
Look, whatever this is about, I'm sorry. I respect actors. How about you give me a headshot?
Well, he did ask for it, so you can't be too upset about what comes next. And sometime later, after the Union finally brings the war to a close, Booth makes good on Lincoln's request. If you were an actor who did this nowadays, you'd probably still have a decent career after posting a Notes app apology.
And Booth would shout the motto that has become etched in history.
Did I do that?
And finally, we come to World War II, specifically the part where Europe is being bombarded by Axis attacks, leading the United States to step in like the heroes we... Oh, wait, the US didn't get involved until Pearl Harbor. Well, we're heroes when we have a good enough incentive.
A date that I probably knew was coming but allowed to happen. I mean a date which will live in infamy.
So President Roosevelt finally aligns with Prime Minister Churchill to take the fight to the Axis powers with a strategic attack on the beaches of Normandy. It'll be an attack so fierce that it'll leave the enemy stuttering, and that's why they call it D-Day, I think. Makes sense to me.
We are laser focused on planning for D-Day.
I think we're calling it D-Day.
But meanwhile, in a bunker in Germany, Adolf Hitler is concerned with the greatest loss Germany has faced yet, their best band escaping to Switzerland.
Als die von Trapp so long farewell sangen, sagten sie den ist ganz klar auf Wiedersehen. Wie konntest du den Subtext übersehen?
Not gonna lie, this scene put the biggest smile on my face. This scene, parodying that meme-to-death scene from the movie Downfall with all the actors speaking German, is probably the funniest thing the show has done all season. I'm a sucker for the classics, what can I say?
Oh, schau dir vielleicht weniger TikTok und mehr Sound of Music an, du Idiot.
But the war eventually comes to a close, with Germany being defeated and Japan surrendering after a little heavy-handed persuasion.
It's time to go make peace with Japan.
Got it, go to Japan and nuke Hiroshima.
It's easy to see how the orders got a little muddled in the delivery. Oh well, no terrible lasting effects came from that, right? For another historical parody episode, we actually found this to be pretty funny. Sure, some of the references and jokes are low-hanging fruit, but the Abbott and Costello references and the Downfall parody really bumped the comedy up in our eyes. Overall, not a bad episode, considering parodies have felt more like the show's crutch rather than its bread and butter for a long time. And kicking off the top 5 is Scent of a Woman, which follows Meg living out her last wish and Peter trying to find out how many people Lois has slept with.
If a dog smelled cancer on her, I'm not optimistic. Meg, if you have anything on your bucket list, this could be the time.
So Brian thinks he smells cancer in Meg, so she just assumes she's dying and asks Brian to help her live out her greatest desire. If visiting a nacho chain restaurant isn't at the top of your bucket list, then maybe you're doing this life thing all wrong.
Before we make these nachos, how about we cut that hair and frost those tips?
But Meg is actually cancer-free, and she knew that before Brian took her to this place, which makes him feel used, though he gets over it pretty quickly. Even if Meg wasn't dying, she still probably could have used a good act.
Why did your bra smell like cancer?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Maybe because I buy all my undergarments at thrift stores?
And also in this episode, Peter becomes obsessed with Lois's body count after she fails to answer the number during Truth or Dare. She is spitting in the face of time-honored tradition, so her punishment is an incredibly stupid dare.
Oh my god!
Ah, damn it! Oh, it hurts so much! Oh god!
Shouldn't have angered the Truth or Dare gods. The Peter and Lois side plot is funny, but it's a relatively small piece of this episode. The main story with Meg and Brian is both humorous and heartfelt, further building the relationship between those two in a way that's always nice to see. And at number 4, we've got Let the Good Times Walk, where Joe starts taking sleeping pills that not only allow him to sleepwalk, but also help him become a much more likable guy while he's doing it.
Are you sure you should spend that?
Oh yeah, there's still plenty in there for Meg to pay for online college.
So Peter decides to purchase himself a saxophone, driven to learn Careless Whisper by George Michael. A phenomenal song to play, but no one ever talks about the year of training it takes to get there, where your playing sounds like a cat going down a hot metal slide.
This is the 5th night in a row you woke me up with that damn song.
Yeah, it kind of feels a little mean-spirited to play a song with the lyric "Never Gonna Dance Again" outside Joe's house. So in order to secure a good night's sleep, Joe gets some sleeping pills from Quagmire that not only put him to sleep, but also come with an interesting side effect.
Oh my God, Joe, you're walking!
Walk it like I talk it, and talk it like I walk it.
Seeing Joe walk is kind of like seeing a cryptid. Very uncanny valley feeling about the whole thing, maybe even a blight against all creation. How does this work? Who cares? Joe's walking again, but he just can't remember it. It's almost like sleepwalking Joe is a completely different person. Think The Substance, but without a bloody fire hose of an ending.
Wish Joe was asleep. He was way more interesting.
Yeah, Joe, why don't you take another one of them sleeping pills?
And Joe's pals quickly find out that sleepwalking Joe doesn't tell long-winded, mind-numbing stories. In fact, he's much cooler and has a nice, soothing voice.
And if you have any trouble getting in, just tell him you're with Joey Good Times.
Kinda sounds like the name a guy who still goes to high school parties after graduating years ago gives himself, but I can't deny that pop collar is working. So the pills make him a more interesting friend, a better husband, and an all-around much cooler guy. Too bad for normal Joe, who kinda just becomes a second thought.
Just wake me up if you decide to fall asleep again. Bonfire needs another log.
Never thought I'd see the day Joe was wanted for his body and nothing else. To be fair, he wasn't working with much else to begin with. But those sleeping pills start to call out to him like the Green Goblin mask, and he realizes Joey Good Times might be here to stay.
When was the last time Bonnie wanted you to come to bed? You're right.
So Joe goes full sleep mode, and it really seems to make his life better. Bonnie loves him, his friends love him, and his whole world has dynamic shadows like when an animated show finally gets a movie. Honestly, that's kind of the more hard to ignore part than Joe walking.
All right, fellas, let's go. Good thing we don't need that golf cart anymore. We get to walk all 18 holes.
Well, exercise is where you lose them. The guys realize they can't keep up with a Joe with 2 working legs, and what's worse, they realize they've lost their punching bag friend.
Every friend group needs to have a bottom friend. A guy who's doing way worse than all the rest of us.
I know a few friend groups with bottom friends, but I think we might have different definitions for the word bottom. So the guys realize they want their old friend back, so they try to bring the boredom back out of him.
The old Joe is the best Joe.
I can't go back. I'll never go back.
I guess some friends are just destined to be the butt of the joke in the friend group, but we must remember that the butt is just as important a body part as any other. So after enough pestering, they get their old Joe back, complete with all of his dull facts.
Wow, that was so long and boring.
It's nice to have you back, Joe.
This episode isn't nearly as iconic as Believe It or Not Joe's Walking on Air, and we can understand people not liking it for being too much of a retread, and yet, we still think this might be one of the season's more enjoyable episodes. Instead of Joe becoming a jerk, he becomes too cool for his friend group to handle, which really says more about them than Joe. It probably would have been nice to see Joe reaffirm his happiness without needing to walk, but I guess Joe's only allotted a small amount of happiness per episode. Not the most original for the series, but it's salvaged by some pretty good comedy, from Peter's saxophone to Joey Good Times' oozing of confidence. And coming in at number 3, we have Pumpkin Spice Girls, where Lois and Meg become so obsessed with pumpkin spice coffee that they turn to crime just to get their fix.
We need to rise up and take back our country. I mean, a seasonal beverage. Are you in?
I'm in.
So when pumpkin spice goes out of season, Lois and Meg resort to stealing the ingredients from coffee shops all over town, leading to an intense police investigation that forces them on the run. I guess telling them pumpkin spice is super easy to make at home is out of the question now, huh?
Oh my God, we're like Thelma and Louise! I've never felt so alive.
But as they prepare to Thelma and Louise themselves off a cliff, they realize that there are other great seasonal coffee flavors to choose from. This is a nice reminder to keep pushing forward because there's always something great on the horizon if you look for it. Also, a reminder to lower your caffeine intake. Apparently it sparks criminal intent.
We made emotional decisions. Please save us, men!
We got 'em, boys.
Despite the very obvious women love pumpkin spice setup, this was still a very fun episode. Lois and Meg episodes are always a good time, and their crazy energy managed to bounce off one another perfectly. Funny, action-packed, and the spotlight remains on some of the show's most fun characters. What more could you ask for? And at number 2 is the monumental episode The Edible Arrangement, where Lois and Stewie finally get the chance to talk after they both get high off edibles.
I don't understand how we're talking.
Probably because we're both zonked.
I would never do that in front of my baby.
I guess it must just be intense allergies in the house that's making your eyes bloodshot. But the mother and son use this opportunity to finally connect, airing out all their feelings and hang-ups about one another.
You know Brian loves you, right?
Yeah, I know.
No, like he really loves you.
They also take this opportunity to crap on Brian, which, fair. They've probably both been bottling that up and finally have a chance to air it all out. This whole ordeal proves to not only be fun for the two, but cathartic as well, as they become closer than they've ever been before.
Stewie, I see you, I hear you, and I feel the same way.
Unfortunately, they wake up forgetting this whole night happened, which is a shame. Gotta return to that status quo after all. But hopefully something deep inside them will remind them of this moment, and they'll continue to look at each other in a whole new light.
Oh my god, what is wrong with you? It's just Oreos.
Maybe. It's easy to see why a lot of people love this episode. It expanded upon a character dynamic we didn't think we'd ever see, and it led to some great moments of love, understanding, and comedy from Stewie and Lois. The only thing that really holds this episode back is the fact that you have to get through 2/3 of mostly nothing to get to it. If it could have tightened its waistline just a tad, this thing could have been the best of Season 24. But what we think is the best episode of Season 24 is actually the episode Phony Montana, where Brian accidentally develops a Cuban accent while dating a Hispanic girl, and Peter and Lois get some mixed signals from a potential swinger couple.
I'm guessing that migraine scrambled you all up. So this is like an actual disorder?
So Brian gets exposed to loud Cuban music, which seems to infect his brain and change his whole manner of speaking. Sounds like he had a brain aneurysm with a little flavor, so it could have been worse. But this forces him to hide his voice from his new girl to not offend her, but of course, the Cuban inside is bound to come out sometime.
You think you can take me? You're gonna need an army to take me!
Maybe if he does the same thing to his brain again, but this time with an audiobook, he might come out as a good writer. Just some food for thought. While this is going on, Peter and Lois become friends with a couple they're pretty sure are swingers, but become insulted when they don't get invited to join in.
They're trying to see if we are actually into them.
Which we're not.
No.
Gotta be that.
After all, it's flattering just to be asked. And to be the only couple left out of the hookup is probably one of the most insulting things you can experience as a couple. So they decide to turn up the heat, only to be rejected.
Aren't you guys swingers?
We like to have fun, yeah, but we don't do it with everyone.
You could have spit in Peter and Lois's faces and it would have been less insulting. Oh well, they can still make love on their couch and show that couple what they're definitely not missing.
There'll be a little asterisk in the record books, but it still kinda counts.
Pound for pound, this may just be the most consistent, strongest, and funniest episode in the entire season. Both stories are a ton of fun in different ways. Brian going full Cubano leads to a lot of great interactions, and Peter and Lois being on the same level of delusion is always fun to see. So if we're talking story, characters, and comedy, we think Phony Montana is the best episode to come out of Season 24. But what were your favorite episodes from this season? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below, and be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more.